Welcome back to another episode of Suddenly Ajussi. My name is Heiko and
I'm Myunghyun.
welcome back. Literally, welcome back because you were traveling past week.
Right,
Tell
I've been
us.
to. Yes, it was a pretty long trip, I think. After quitting my job, I just spontaneously booked a ticket to China because I saw one of my friend visited the place called Winnan,
Okay.
and I saw their pictures. It looks so beautiful, and they kept posting. They were kept saying like, "Oh, this is fantastic place, amazing." Blah blah blah. So I just bought a ticket right after I saw the post on Instagram. But visiting Winnan is kind of too common recently, I think, because
Do you think why? Do you think it's a
relatively,
hot destination for let's say maybe for locals, Chinese, it could be a quite hot place. But outside of China, is it?
I think Korean people like to visit that place recently because anyway, we don't need visa anymore to visiting China, and Shanghai, Beijing is just Shanghai only takes 1.5 hour from here, so everyone visiting Shanghai, and
Yes.
also Chongqing and Winnan, those cities, I think many Koreans are visiting that places recently.
I saw some reels about Koreans visiting Shanghai a lot, and I think it was a reel about how to recognize Korean
Mhm.
tourists. But I think Shanghai, Beijing is like the first destinations you can think of when you're in China. And recently, at least what I see is Chongqing, as you mentioned. What else? Chengdu, yeah,
Right.
like second tier, third tier cities becoming more popular. Even I think also among Chinese, they're increasingly like visiting other places. I think since the pandemic, when they had no chance to travel outside of China, so they have more like domestic travel.
Mm-mm.
Then,
Right.
how did you end up in Xinjiang?
The Xinjiang is a. I was always dreaming of visiting Xinjiang, but that place is too new to me. It's like I don't have any information, no idea about that places. Have you ever visited there with the GP?
No,
GP, no,
no. Did our classmates went there?
once
Yeah,
when we were in China.
yeah. I never was on my list actually. I'm lacking travels inside of China. I feel like when I, for example, had my parents-in-law and my grandparents, I don't feel like leaving because I just
Mm,
arrived to visit them. So it's always hard to visit other cities in China, also because the country is so big. So it takes a lot of time.
that's true. I also kind of feel the same. Whenever I decide to visit China, I feel pressure to visit Hangzhou and Shanghai. I don't know why, because I feel those two places like my home in China.
Yeah, yeah. It's your Chinese base.
Right. So whenever I decide to visit the cities nearby Shanghai and Hangzhou, I feel kind of pressure to visit like Ningbo. Bell is there,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah,
visit
because
Guan.
all of our Chinese friends are in
Mm-mm.
near the Hangzhou, Ningbo, and yeah, Zhejiang region.
So just this time, I decided to visit the far place, the farthest place from
Yeah,
those areas. And I had a like 9 days. It's a pretty long holiday, so I could visit some very remote area. Xinjiang, it takes like 14 hours from here to Xinjiang
the flight.
because there's no direct flight.
Ah, okay. How was your flight route?
I first visited Jinan, the capital city of Shandong, and spent
Mm-hmm.
6 hours there and went to Urumqi. It's
Mm-hmm.
in English it's Urumqi, right?
Yeah, yeah,
URUMQI.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when I come back, I first went to Qingdao and then came back to Korea.
Wow, completely different.
Mm-mm-mm.
Urumqi is the capital of Xinjiang, right? Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, the experience there was so different from the other Chinese region.
Mm. I can only imagine how, of course, I've seen pictures of people living there, locals, but when I was invited at Dimitri's wedding, we
Mm-mm-mm.
also saw Kazakh people, and I imagine them being quite similar, I think.
Yeah,
Kind of a mix of,
right, right.
let's say, Arab people, Russian people, and Chinese people.
Mm.
Yeah, because the region is so kind of mixed.
Kazakh is one of the main people living there in Xinjiang. So
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah, there are Kazakhs, and
So interesting.
also yeah, I didn't know that Xinjiang takes 1/6 of Chinese territory. It's
Wow.
so huge place. Yeah, it's a 1/6 of China, and also 6 times bigger than Korea.
6 times.
Yeah, it is a huge place.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
And the culture itself was also very interesting because it's all basically a Muslim culture, and the
Mm.
people in the night market or the taxi drivers don't speak Mandarin very well. So they think I'm Chinese. They think I speak perfect Chinese, because of the face.
Wow.
They think what I'm saying is right. So it is
What is
a.
interesting,
Mm-mm.
they kind of speak their local dialect,
They they
or
only speak the Uyghur language.
okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and also they speak some Mandarin, of course, but they definitely has an accent there.
Mm.
Middle East Asian people speaking when Middle East Asian people speaking Chinese, they have their like accent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
Xinjiang people has the same accent.
Mm-hmm.
So they think I am Chinese and I speak perfect Chinese. It's so
Well,
weird.
I must say your Chinese is quite good. Pronunciation is great, don't you think?
No, the Hanzu can tell my Chinese is foreign Chinese immediately. They can tell it immediately.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, as a native speaker, you can grasp any like any hint of accent. Yeah. And but how was, for example, how was the atmosphere? Was it any different? Like, was it busy, or was it very loud, or
It was so busy, loud, and it's totally exotic
okay?
because the language itself is different, and also their city, their how to say, the structure of the city is different. They basically have the bazaar.
Mm,
Bazaar is not a Chinese thing, right? It's
no, I don't think
like
so.
when you visit Turkey or like Middle East Asian countries, you
Yeah.
can easily find bazaar, and
Yeah.
every city has bazaar there, which means and they sell like the lambs basically,
Mm,
lamb meat.
yeah.
So and the people who sells the lambs are like Russians. They looks like Russians. So they're
Really,
blonde,
they're
white.
blonde.
Yeah, yeah. Some people are blonde, white.
I
They
mean,
just look.
maybe they are. I think that Xinjiang shares a border with Russia.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think, yeah, they definitely should share some border.
Mm.
So
Uh,
maybe, they're just
maybe
coming
their
over for business.
yeah, or their kids, their
Yeah,
parents may move to China. But anyway, Xinjiang shares border with like 5, 6 countries
yeah.
because it is huge, like
Ch-
Pakistan,
yeah.
Ta-
Mongolia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tajikistan,
yeah,
India,
yeah,
so many places.
yeah. I,
So,
fi- I find it quite fascinating that Xinjiang feels like so exotic because it's
mm,
also seems like a melting pot. It's like it shares so many borders and you don't really know who's speaking what language. And yeah, how did you get around then if you had some communication problems?
actually, there was no problem because they can speak Chinese anyway. They can speak Mandarin anyway, and I can also speak basic Mandarin. So
Mm.
buying stuff, no problem. 羊肉串多少钱就 it's easy. Yeah, and I think Xinjiang is the best tourist place in China, in my opinion,
Wow, that's a big statement.
because it is too different. China actually like the except for those Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, I think the
Mm.
other cities are actually has a similar atmosphere because they're mostly newly developed
Yes.
and because people won't visit the very small cities like Qingtian. They may visit like Chengdu and
Yeah.
Hangzhou
Yeah.
and Shenzhen and those like second tier cities has all has the similar atmosphere, similar building structures, and
Mm.
the same shops everywhere.
Yeah. I must say, I think we talked about this. I feel like all these first and second tier cities, they're just amazing. Everything is new, everything is polished. You'll find any brands, any chains, and it's just a kind of the heaven for consumption.
Mm.
And I think that's also why we enjoyed being in Hong Kong because
Right, right.
it's different. It's a city that aged kind of. And then you just compare the big cities, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hangzhou. I think even Qingtian is a third or fourth tier city or town. It has the same. It doesn't have these old kind of, those atmospheres when you're in the evening when you walk along the street. Yeah, they're selling street food and stuff. It's not existing anymore.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
it's not a culture anymore because they all have those kind of shops. Yeah, maybe there's one street. Yeah, maybe one street with the carts and selling street food, but most of the time it already feels like a very established
Right, right.
town, and it's kind of getting boring. So maybe locals are trying to, as you said, experience something more exotic, something that is more kind of original before it was kind of rebuilt.
Yeah, and like we are not a fan of queuing up and waiting for those the nice restaurants and right and
The
wherever
the
we
vi-
visit,
the viral places.
we don't like those
Yeah. No, no,
places.
no.
And
No.
also wherever we visit in China, we will everyone's gonna have the same food. I think maratang,火锅,
Mm.
and like some I don't know Dongbei food or the dim sums.
Mm.
Wherever you visit in China, you probably have the same food experience, and I think we are we don't have any passion to visit those areas in each every cities. So
Mm.
yeah, we're just so. But the Xinjiang is totally different. You cannot find any of. You can of course you can find火锅 and
Yeah.
maratang, but mostly what you can eat is their local food.
Okay. Is it mostly protein, like meat based and like kind of potatoes, something like that?
Yeah, it's basically a lamb base, I think,
Yeah.
mostly, and also
Yeah.
the noodles and
Noodles.
like liang pi, you know,
Mm-hmm.
liang pi is their
Yeah.
food, and
Yeah.
they also had a noodle called huangmian. It's there like a
Like
like
yellow noodles.
yeah, it's yellow noodles
Yeah.
and the lamb skewers, and it's just like Middle East Asian
Yeah.
food, like a pilaf. Pilaf is their,
Mm,
yeah, their one of
kind
the
of red
signature
rice.
food. Yeah, fried rice.
But
And
it's all kind of heavy stuff. Very rich, right?
right, right,
I
oily,
don't
rich.
oily rich. I don't imagine it to be balanced with green vegetables because
Mm-mm.
I don't think they grow something like that. They can grow it
Grow kind of
like
what?
vegetables because
Yeah,
it's mostly cold.
no, that was the stereotype I had before visiting there.
Okay.
Yeah, there they have a continental climate.
Mm-hmm.
There is a end of continent point
Mm-hmm.
in Xinjiang, which means they have the one point there is has there's a one place, and that is the farthest place from the sea in this Asia European continent. It
Okay,
is
from
so far.
wow. So it's basically the middle of the continents.
Right, right.
Okay.
And which means that they have a continental climate that is very not cold and not hot. Their winter average temperature is 11 degrees Celsius.
For real?
Yeah, and the summer is 27 average.
Wow. I heard different things. I think people told me that it's really, really cold and you shouldn't visit in, in winter. And the best
Yeah,
season is summer.
I can tell you this. That is, I've been to Kashgar. That
Mm-hmm.
is 2 hours away from the Urumqi. And Kashgar, when I took the plane in Kashgar, it was 30 degrees Celsius. And after 2 hours, I landed in Urumqi and it was
Mm,
snowy. It was zero. So it is a huge place. It's a huge
yeah.
area.
Where's Kashgar and where's Urumqi? Is it
Uh,
Urumqi is more
East.
or north? East. More east. Okay. At the
And
same horizontal or
I think it's similar.
okay.
And Kashgar is almost near the border
Mm-hmm.
on the west and yeah, border to the Pakistan. And they have actually their fruits is their like most famous products there. Their fruits is the most delicious food in China. Most
Wow.
delicious fruit, yeah. So like hamigua,
Mm,
melons,
yeah.
and also the grapes. They have their
Yeah.
grapes is their specialty.
Uh,
So all the fruits there are so unbelievably cheap and delicious, juicy,
wow.
perfect
Juicy,
in the
sweet.
winter.
Okay. Oh wow, wow, wow. Like 30 degrees to snowy.
Mm-mm-mm.
Uh, how about the sea level? Were they on the same sea level?
Uh, no, because they have a Pamir Mountains.
Hmm.
You know what Pamir Mountain is? Have you learned it
No.
in high school? It is. It is a very popular place in geography class. That is a Pamir Mountain is called so-called roof of the world.
Never heard of it.
So if Xinjiang is like this, here, here, all mountains,
Yeah.
and Urumqi here, Kashgar here, and here is all other like Pakistan, India, or
Mm-hmm.
Tajikistan, whatever countries here. And those two mountains are over 3,000 meters. So I had that altitude
Mm-hmm.
sick of those high altitudes. So and the reason you're visiting there is to see the nature, basically unbelievable natures
Mm.
and lake.
Yeah,
It's like a Silk Road.
that's the first thing I think of. Like a lot of nature, a lot of surface or area where there's nothing than nature, pure nature.
Mm.
Then
So
how about did WeChat work? People used
yeah,
WeChat.
yeah. There was also the interesting thing about it. You couldn't use Alipay there. Everyone only used the WeChat. WeChat.
Oh, only WeChat.
Basically, they have the WeChat QR code everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to pay with Alipay, you have to ask them, do you have an
Mm-hmm.
Alipay QR
Mm-hmm.
code? And so many, like one fifth of the places I've asked didn't have Alipay QR code. And currently, foreigners, you cannot use a WeChat Pay with the international card. So
Okay.
I had to skip those places. I couldn't buy stuffs from those places
Oh,
without
but
WeChat.
my WeChat works actually. I
Maybe
also have my.
the policies changed recently, maybe. I think I used it. I thought I used it before, but this
Mm.
time my credit card just didn't work.
Oh wow. Hmm. On the other hand, I think my my grandmother sends me money, and I give her the money. So yeah, I also don't use the credit card for my WeChat Pay.
Ah,
So that's how I deal with it. Yeah, I couldn't use any bank account. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Wow, so you're missing out on all kinds of stuff.
not all kinds of, just one fifth. But they sell the same thing at the next store, so it was fine.
So overall, how did you like it? Were you impressed by the what were your expectations before you went to Xinjiang, if you had any?
I didn't have any expectations actually before leaving. Just expect there should be some Muslim cultures
Hmm.
there. That that was all. And I booked the ticket just 2 days before leaving, so I didn't have time to search any information
Hmm.
about the places. So I joined the 1 day trip from Sea Trip. The
Hmm.
Chinese the guide everyone was Chinese,
Hmm.
and I was the only Korean, so I couldn't understand any of their guides. Yeah, I didn't know you need a permit to visit some places there before leaving.
Places like towns,
The
cities, or areas.
areas, the border. If
Okay.
you want to go close to the borders, you need a permits, and foreigner have to visit those places. The police station by yourself and ask for permits.
Wow. And how was your like accommodation, your hotel?
Hotels were so cheap, so I loved it. Urumqi hotels basically is like 25 euros per night.
Like any hotel room,
Any hotel
almost.
rooms. Mostly the I chose the franchise hotel basically.
Hmm. Hmm.
So my first place was called the Ni Hao Hotel, Hello Hotel, and I paid 20 euros per night. But
Mm.
yeah, the smoking is allowed in the room,
In all the rooms.
all the rooms. Everyone is
Yeah,
smoking
yeah, yeah.
everywhere.
Wow.
So it was a bit stinky in the night, but the room was very new, newly opened hotel, 2024, and everything was good. And
And already smoking. Smells like
yeah,
smoke.
yeah. But it was in Urumqi and in Kashgar. I could stay in Ibis
Hmm.
at the same price, and
Yeah.
it's opened in this year.
Wow.
Everything's so clean, like very new, and no one smoking,
Yeah.
free laundry,
Wow.
and gyms. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if you if there's so many newly opened hotels, it seems like tourist activities are increasing heavily.
there
Yeah.
were so many tourists.
Now I also feel like going to Xinjiang.
Was a bit boring. There's
Oh,
nothing
okay.
special. They only have
Well,
they only had a bazaar and some like it's like just newly developed small cities in China.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
because it's capital city, already
yeah,
crowded, so big.
yeah,
So many people insist online that you have to visit Kashgar,
yeah.
yeah, to see the real Xinjiang.
Hmm.
because the buildings, all the buildings there are historical. Like
Okay.
they keeps the old structures. So Kashgar was very small city, but so exotic,
How
so
long
different.
did you stay in Kashgar?
4 days, 4 days, and I also visited some lakes there with a 1 day trip, and it takes 12 hours
To
for the
go
whole
there?
trip. Yeah, I left my hotel. No, I left my hotel at 9 a.m. and came back at 10 p.m.
Wow.
So have to drive 4 hours to the lake, three to 4 hours to the lake, and the lake was at the altitude of 360,
600.
3,600 meters. So I got
So
sick.
all the waters is from glacier? Is it glacier water?
Some are from the glaciers.
Yeah.
I also visited one other lake on the way, and I think that is from glaciers.
Yeah.
And
Like
you can also,
ice blue.
right, right.
Okay.
Maybe the other one also the same because it's in the middle of nowhere, so it
So
should
it's
be
the
from.
same as in Kazakhstan.
Yeah,
Yeah, right?
actually, it's on the Silk Road,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a highway called a Karakoram Highway, and that connects. That is a that Belt and Road Initiative. You know what that is? From
Mm-hmm.
China, they
Yeah.
want to connect the roads to Europe, like
Yeah.
Silk Road. So the Karakoram Highway is one of those the initiative, one part of
Oh,
this initiative, and in Chinese it is a China Pakistan Friendship Road. So it connects to Pakistan. So I
yeah.
saw many Koreans travel to Pakistan through this highway because you can go there by bus
So
from
the
Kashgar.
Koreans go to China first to go to Pakistan.
It is like many people just like a road trip.
Kind of like one activity going from China to Pakistan.
People who travels the world
Oh,
follows
okay.
the Silk Road.
Ah, I
Like many
see.
people follows the Silk Road and they just go to those areas, and there are three cities called a tomb of graveyard of the tourists, and because everything's so affordable and the weather's perfect, they just tourists just don't leave there.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting way to name it.
And the most famous place is Dahab from Egypt.
The hub?
Dahab, Egypt. That is the very famous graveyard of tourists. And the other one is the border city, the Pakistani city on the border between China and Pakistan. So if you just pass the border with the Karakoram Highway, you could reach that city. I forgot the name.
But so it seems like the infrastructure is quite well. Did you encounter like very rocky roads and had some troubles? Like I imagine you being in kind of a very sketchy bus, like driving close to the cliffs. That's how I
No,
imagine it.
it was not like that. Everything was well organized and maintained very well. And I think there are many policies. There are so many policies. Yeah, so you could show your passport to reach those
Oh,
lake areas, and you also need a permit, so it's managed pretty well. Yeah, it was so beautiful on the way. You can see glaciers and the red rocks. Like it's not a small one. It's just like the United States, like the Grand Canyon. It was so. Yeah, it's not like a Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon is irreplaceable. Anyway, yeah, you could see all the huge, unbelievable natures on the way, so it is definitely worth visiting there.
did you feel any like when you watched those sceneries, those landscapes? Did you feel kind of, let's say, free and feeling very like your mind is floating, or were you still a bit cautious because of the environment?
No, there are so many people, so there's so many tourists. I didn't need to be cautious. Feel very comfortable, and I didn't feel free or I didn't have any emotional like
Because
touch.
I'm asking because when sometimes when I see very wide
Mm,
sceneries, especially when the nature is very beautiful, I feel like my mind can drift somehow.
right, right.
But at the same time, if you're in a, yeah, as you mentioned, if you're in an environment where there's so many tourists and it's so loud and so busy, you cannot enjoy it.
Right. Comparing to Tahoe, it is the lake was beautiful, but not in that in the same level. The
Lake Tahoe
comparison
was Lake Tahoe
is
was,
is the best in the world, I think.
yeah.
Lake Tahoe and the West Lake in Hangzhou, I think they are the best because I was in a group tour this time, so I couldn't enjoy it by myself.
Mm,
I just had to leave in like every 30
yeah.
minutes, 1 hours. And actually, what I liked from Tahoe and West Lake is they have a community nearby. So if you want to buy
Hmm.
water, you can just go any shops and you can also visit some restaurants nearby. You can stay there. There
Oh,
are
okay.
accommodations and there are people living there, and it is safe for 24 hours. But
So it was different at the lake in Xinjiang.
yeah, they didn't. It is just a lake, tourist place. No one lives nearby. You could
Okay.
drive like 300 kilometers to see the towns.
So you couldn't this like pure nature. There's no infrastructure besides the street leading there, or
There
maybe
are,
some smaller carts selling
right,
snacks, right?
exactly. And
Wow.
there is a toilet. They're very well managed, clean toilets.
Like a
Huge
proper toilet.
proper huge toilet like a Chinese tourist place, and also like very small 3 4 shops selling souvenirs,
Yeah.
and like one coffee truck. They sell in a SUV.
Mm-hmm.
They open the trunk and
Yeah.
they set
So
the
cool.
coffee machine. It's so cool,
Yeah.
and that's it.
I kind of like it, but yeah, I kind of like those kind of those settings where it's very mobile, everything. But at the same time, when you think of like moments, for example, when you're traveling alone or you're breaking down, your car breaks down, and you're there in the middle of the night, you're just you know just fucked. What do you do? That is those are the moments I'm really scared.
Actually, I was a bit scared of those things in United States, but in China, everything is affordable, so you can just call someone, and they work very efficiently for 24 hours. So,
Hmm.
and that highway is, I think, always full of people.
Okay, it's always busy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
always busy. It should be busy because there are people wants to visit Pakistan, to want to cross the
Okay.
borders.
I mean, that's
Anyway,
a relief. And then it's probably also the case that you have proper like internet, like phone connection,
you can have 4G, 5G
internet.
everywhere.
That's crazy. And that kind of I mean, it's not really remote, but I cannot imagine like in that kind of pure nature landscapes where there are many like those antennas for 5G, like a phone connection. I can't believe it.
It was so stable. I purchased a lot of data because it works everywhere. I put extra 30 gigabytes,
Wow.
upload reels,
Wow.
Instagrams.
This is amazing to me. Because 5G you have to place more antennas, I think.
Mm-mm-mm.
You cannot be far away from the antennas in order
Oh,
for
right,
it to
right.
work.
It, mm,
Yeah. And the in Germany there's always this joke. and I think it's not even a joke anymore when you have connectivity holes.
Mm-mm.
So you cannot even make a call. And it's not even, not even remote. So there's always those jokes. And then I think like if you have a place like Xinjiang where it's so wide and so big, you still have 5G, stable 5G. Why? How does it function?
I think there are more people than you expect, more populations than you
Mm,
expect, and
yeah.
also the place I visited was just a tourist spot, so that's why they have a stable connection.
Mm,
As I said, they have very high, like there are like huge mountains everywhere.
mm,
So if
yeah.
you want to go hike, then maybe you lose the connections. But just I just passed through the highways, and those lakes are triple. It's like they that they're the tier of those tourist spots are 5As, the best tourist spots.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
tourist spots in China usually have those
yeah,
kind of ratings.
yeah. Rating.
Every tourist spot I've been to always have this like
Mm-mm.
quintip, like 5 A's or six
Yeah.
A's. I don't know. There's never a tourist spot with 3 A's.
So yeah, but anyway, in United States, you don't have those internet connections in like Yosemite, Grand
Wow.
Canyon. You can easily lose connections. But in China, yeah, it is a small places. The lake is huge,
Mm,
but the where we can stand, the place where we can stand was small. So
mm.
yeah, they could
Wow.
have a connection.
Sounds good.
And
And the food? You mentioned you had some good food. I also saw some reels or shorts. Did you
it was
enjoy?
I loved it because I could find that lamb skewers everywhere.
Yeah.
Say only some places it is only 3 RMB
Yeah. Wow.
and
So good.
mostly five, so it was just affordable.
Mm.
Love it, and even you can even order only one skewer.
At a
And
time?
yeah,
Why?
I don't know. They just accept. They spent 15 minutes cook one skewer. I paid 3 RMB for it.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah.
I, I
When I want to have a lamb skewer, there's a one shop here in Munich. They say you have to order at least five.
five. That is a lot.
No, maybe three or maybe three or five. Yeah. But wow, that's so great.
And I think the Xinjiang was so huge and they have so many natures to see, so I could visit only two cities this time because of the time shortage. But
Mm,
I still want to visit that places again.
mm,
And I think that Karakoram Highway is really special.
mm,
The driving through this that highway makes you feel like you are traveling Asia to like another continent.
mm,
The view scenery is very very special and different, and feeling you are following through the Silk Road makes you feel kind of yeah heart like excited. So
Did you like when I think of Xinjiang and those long roads and wide nature, um, I think of the time I was in Kazakhstan with our GEP classmates. We had two jeeps, and those were kind of crappy, but these are the only ones we got. And then we went to a national park in Kazakhstan, and it also was not many people at all, and we were the only ones like going through the national park. And it was quite late, and we had one destination. We wanted to see the dunes,
mm,
very famous dunes in the national park. And then I think it was like 10 minutes before we arrived at the dunes, the
flat
tire
tire.
flat tire. Yeah, so we made it to the destination, and it was sunset.
Mm.
Yeah, it was sunset, and then yeah, everyone knew, oh, we are fucked. But still, let's go to the dunes first and enjoy the sunset. And then we came back, and then we had to fix the tire. So luckily, we had spare tires. Like two cars had two spare tires. So I think we tried to fix it like for 1 hour, only to realize that the spare tire was also flat. So we had to yeah, assemble another tire, and oh, it was horrible. Did you have any kind of troubling moments when you were visiting, even though there were many tourists?
This time, you mean?
Yeah, because exotic never comes without trouble, I think.
I don't have that kind of moment, but as you know, since I'm a foreigner, yeah, I didn't have that kind of dangerous and scary moments. But for me, and I'm Korean who's speaking a simple Chinese.
Mm,
So many Chinese wants to talk to me. That is
like
the scary.
chit chat, chit chat.
Even on the bus, they sit
Uh,
next to me and they stop talking, and I don't understand like 50% of their conversations. That is kind of the scariest thing. I don't know how to stop them. Just they ask.
what do they ask you, or what do they talk about with you?
I've been to two trips, and the mate from the first trip was a cook in
Yeah.
Xinjiang. Yeah, so he recommended me his food, and we were sharing the travel experience. Actually, he shares his travel experiences with me, and yeah, he was a pretty chill guy, a nice guy.
Mm, mm.
And the second trip, the guy was asked me about like political Korean political situations.
The impeachment stuff.
Yeah, why don't you get married? Why don't you? Yeah, also the impeachments, and why don't you like have kids? Blah blah blah. And I had to tell it in Chinese, so it was
Mm.
so tiring. And also, like my many Chinese people asked me to do the business with.
Uh, yeah, I also had those situations, and I think
Mm-mm.
it's very common. I think also like our GP friends also had those kind of experiences when where just random people talk to you
Right.
about random things, and I think I kind of like it because it's nothing you see in Germany. If it happens, it's weird. You think of, okay, what does this guy want from me? So I kind of like it because it's so casual. And the last time it happened to me, I was on the train from Wenzhou to Shenzhen, like 6, 7 hours. And that guy sat next to me, and then he just started talking. And my Chinese is also very bad, but I had some basic understanding, and we just talk about basic stuff like, oh, what's your job? Do you have kids? Am married? And then he was like watching German football, German football.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he showed me his favorite team as like even Bavaria Munich, like
Mm.
the local team here. And then I told him, yeah, my parents from Stuttgart. And he knows the team Stuttgart. And yeah, we're talking a bit about football and about job. And he showed me. I think it also happens. He just shows you photos,
Right, right, right.
right? He showed me the photo of his daughter,
Mm.
his son. Yeah, yeah. He borrowed my power bank. It's very so casual. It's so fun, and it's something I don't worry in China because I know it's kind of normal.
In that way, Chinese are very similar to Americans.
Is it?
Americans also couldn't stop talking.
I haven't been to the US for a long time, but now that you mentioned it, yeah, probably. It's very easy for them to talk with you, and I yeah, it occurred to me when we were in Sapporo in Japan. We went to a jazz bar, and most of them were, let's say half of them were tourists. And then my wife and me, we sat on a very small table, and on the bar there was kind of an American, and then suddenly a couple came, also American, not Americans, but English natives. They came in, and the owner of the bar just sat them next to the American, and they just naturally started talking like the whole time. And maybe it's something like that, yeah. And it's so fun to observe.
But the difference is like for the Americans, their topic is about themselves basically,
Yes,
and
yes,
yeah,
definitely, yes.
they want to talk about themselves, but in China it could be very personal.
Mm.
They ask you your age and if you have kids, marriage status,
Yes.
and yeah, those kind of things. I think it's yeah. It I feel a bit tired because it's happening in Korea. It's
Hmm.
the Korean people has the same topic whenever you see the others or the elders.
Koreans like randomly talk to you.
They don't talk randomly, but when you start to talk to some random people, they just
Always the
have
same topics.
like a job basically.
Mm.
Especially the elders. Young people, I think, are avoiding talking about those
Mm.
things. But yes, so that's I feel like I'm in Korea when they ask me questions like this. So I feel tired, bit kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, easiest, the most obvious topics, the easy, hardest to talk about because it's always the same. And I also saw a post where you traveled with the sleeper train. Where was that? Where did you go?
It was also on my bucket list.
Mm.
Yeah, sleeper trains in China, and and yeah, it was from Urumqi to Kashgar, 17 hours sleeper train.
Wow.
So I left at 11:40, I think, and arrived in Kashgar at 5 to 6 a.m.
Wow.
But the problem, everything was so perfect except for the smoking issue. They could smoke in the train. It's
Hmm.
allowed. So
Yes.
the smells was so disgusting.
Yeah.
But everything was so nice, and they woke me up in the morning, the
Oh,
staffs.
really?
They know the destinations of all the passengers,
Mm.
so they just call you before you leave. So I had my AirPods on at 5 a.m. So the lady just wake up, wake up. She just
Yeah.
hit me like this.
Wow. Oh, that's the surf is so great.
And
Yeah.
the blankets, pillows, so clean and new.
Yeah. Did you sniff?
What is this? And
Like, did you smell if it was okay? Because the last time I was on a sleeper train was very long ago. It was, I think, when I was still underage, and there was no G train between Shanghai and Xinjiang, and we had to use the sleeper train, and took, I don't know, we went there overnight, and I also loved it as a kid, like the bunk beds on the third floor.
oh,
Yeah, and I always felt like the smell was a bit weird.
I think it was in the past, and also the yeah, the first and now you can choose between soft bunk bed
Hmm.
and a hard bunk bed. The
Yeah,
soft one is like twice more expensive, almost. I chose
yeah.
the soft one, and
Wow.
you can pay extra for the lower bunk bed.
Hmm.
So soft bunk beds has only yeah, it's a bunk bed, only two floors. But the
Okay.
triple, if you choose a hard one, it will be a
Hmm.
triple bunk bed,
Yeah,
as you said. So
yeah.
it should be
That's the
tough.
stuff.
And
You should have chosen the hard
no,
one.
no. So I paid like almost 600 RMB for the soft
Mm.
lower bunk bed, and actually
It's
the
like
flight
that
I
should be
ticket is
like,
500.
yeah, as you mentioned, it's on your bucket list. So wow. But it seems like you enjoyed this, right?
I think I can do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I feel kind of very relieved in the train
Mm,
because there is a destination and I know when I'm gonna arrive, and so I just could stop thinking about
mm,
everything.
yeah.
And there is a restaurant and a cook, so you can order food there and they just cook there immediately.
I wanna I wanna dive a little bit into the experience. So you have your bed and you have a pillow, you have some bed sheets, and do you have curtains?
No curtains.
No curtains, not at all.
Not at all.
Do you have any amenities like a toothbrush, or do you get this?
No, no
Do you get
amenities.
any? Is there any food included in the ticket?
No, I have to pay for it. But they sell like a lunchbox,
Mm-hmm.
and it was 10 to 20 RMB, I think. I
Like a
didn't buy it.
classic Chinese lunchbox.
Yeah, and I didn't buy for it, but I went to the restaurant. There is a restaurant train, so
Yeah.
I ordered some food there, and food was so expensive. But like compares to, yeah, it was like 50 RMB for the,
Okay. It's like 7, 6, 7 euros, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
and the fried noodle was 25 RMB.
Mm,
So it's relatively expensive
mm.
in Xinjiang area because everything is 10. In Xinjiang, everything is 10.
Yeah. So this was an extra section where there's a chef. Okay. Was it like a kind of fast food like, or like
No, this is a
proper
proper,
meals?
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Not bad. Not
And
bad.
also the scenery was beautiful the way.
Mm-hmm.
You could see
Mm.
the mountains and the field on the way.
And how about the train itself? Was it an old train, or did you feel like it wasn't a new train that has been?
They don't have a G train, the Gautier, so
Yeah,
they only have that the old ones.
I think it's K,
Like
maybe. Yeah,
I think yeah, I think it was a K. And the train was not very new, but not
hmm.
very old. But I just didn't want to use the toilets.
Oh, you didn't.
I
You didn't
didn't
at
want
all.
to. I used it, but it was not pleasant, I think.
Yeah,
So for the women's, I don't want to recommend it.
but it's probably squat toilets.
No,
No,
it's a Western style toilet.
that makes it harder. So to some extent, yeah.
Right.
So they were kind of unclean, or it's
It
just
is
very
old
old.
and it is old and the public toilet is like this, but
Yeah.
it couldn't be so dirty because they clean it like they were always cleaning it. The staff cleaner ladies always cleaning it, so it couldn't be
Wow.
very dirty. But still, just it's like an airplane toilet,
Okay.
but very
Yeah.
old airplane toilet.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good picture.
Yeah.
Wow. And how about you started around noon, and how about in the night? Do they leave the lights on, or do they
No,
shut it? Do they turn it off?
they turn everything off at 10:30.
Mm. Mm.
And actually, during the daytime, the most bunk beds were empty. Most beds were empty. There are not
Okay.
many people because there is no reason to take those trains in the daytime.
Mm.
But after 11, it was full.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because people just sleep there and they could arrive in the morning.
Mm.
So it was totally full after 11 p.m.
So you had quite a few stops on the way.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
I didn't count and I didn't actually recognize it. I was lying on the bed and
Just chilling.
it was mostly empty, no one's passing, so I couldn't recognize those stations.
So no people talk to you. You didn't drink beer with them or ate snacks.
I couldn't because it was empty during the daytime.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there were only
That's
one old like my like 40s or 50s guy, but
mm,
yeah, he was busy smoking.
wow. You should have. It's because I have this still this picture. I'm not sure if it's from my own experiences or from videos. It's like, especially if you're a foreigner, they like to talk to you. They like to
Yeah.
talk to you and chit chat, and then you just everyone sits on your bunk bed, and then you just
Mhm.
eat snacks, drink beer, and talk and smoke.
Actually, when you buy a ticket, it is written that the lower bunk bed could be
Mm,
used as a chair, as a
yeah,
seat
yeah,
for the people of the.
yeah. Who sleep on top? Wow.
It is written there on the tickets.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I think the hard bunk bed was mostly full, even in the daytime.
Yeah. I think if you had chosen that hard one, you could have come across that situation.
Right, right. And I didn't
Wow.
want that, so
You didn't. I expected you to, wanting this because
no,
it's kind of an experience. Maybe next time.
we can try together.
Yeah. I need that experience again.
Really?
Yeah. It's the best. I think it's uncomfortable, yes, but it's the best stories, I think.
Please share your story later after you experience that yourself.
I always travel with my family, so we kind of occupied the whole section and yeah, never but had a conversation with like random people.
And I think it will be so different from other regions in China because they barely see foreigners.
Mm,
So when they sometimes I think I told people that I'm Korean for 3 times in my travel, and
mm,
whenever I say, they were like so excited because actually they don't have chance to see
yeah,
foreigner by themselves.
yeah. What do they ask you
It is
when they
different
found
from
out you're Korean?
just how did you come here? Why? What brings you here? And how long does it take? How much was your flights? Where did you learn Chinese? It's casual things. Did you get married?
Why don't you have kids? How much do you make? Okay, okay.
But the ladies were different. Not the ladies, it's like very young people who selling stuffs in the souvenir shops.
Mm,
Those people talking about the stars, Korean stars, and
wow.
K dramas. And
That's cool.
they could speak some Koreans, of
Of
course.
course. They probably watched the drama.
And the flight ticket was so cheap, by the way, from here to
Yeah.
Urumqi. It was round trip. One
That's
is
very cheap. Yeah.
is unbelievably cheap.
This is, I don't know even how they can, I don't know, make money because the distance is, there should be some distance. What about the total flight time? Think excluding the waiting, the transfer.
6 to 7.
Is it, yeah, 6 to 7? Wow. Yeah, let's make the trip next time. I'm
We can,
quite I'm quite pumped. I'm quite excited about this region actually.
we can meet there. Yeah, we can meet in Urumqi.
Who directly?
Yeah, yeah. And the airport was so clean and new, very new.
Okay.
I don't know why, but Urumqi has 4 terminals.
Mm-hmm. Four
But
terminals.
but each terminal is not very huge, but I don't know
Yeah.
why they have so many separate terminals.
I can imagine if they want to build some infrastructure, usually the streets and airports and stations, train stations will be renewed or upgraded,
Mm.
and then the rest will follow. That's how I observe it. But wow, four terminals. Should be all domestic, I think. Or
Yeah,
maybe to
mostly.
Pakistan.
Yeah, but mostly I think should be domestic.
Hmm.
And they even have their own airlines. room chair lines. I didn't expect that, but they have room chair line.
If I were a aviation YouTuber, I would definitely check it out. What airlines did you fly with?
It's the Shandong one, Shandong airline.
Shandong.
It was boring.
Yeah, basic, right?
And I could choose their Chinese airplane.
They already have the Chinese one,
Yeah, they have it. I could choose
yeah.
it,
But
or they also have Russian airplane. I didn't.
how did you choose the Chinese one?
No, I just chose the Boeing.
The
The boring
Boeing, okay.
Boeing, yeah, 737. It was boring, but I really wanted to try the Chinese one.
Yeah,
It's very new and it should be good like a Chinese car. They have
yeah,
USB-C. I think it might. I guess.
yeah. I mean, I think it launched end of last year, I think.
I don't know the
I
date.
think I think yeah, they've been building this airplane for some time, but I think last year was when I think China Eastern Airlines first flew with this Chinese airplane for the first time. Yeah. Wow, I didn't know Shandong Airlines had this already.
They had the C909, the Chinese
Yeah.
airplane, but the time
Yeah.
was at 8 a.m. So I didn't choose it.
Now I'm curious actually. I think after our podcast I will just consume some videos about that airplane. Because the first thing I always think of is it safe? The
That is
first
the
thought.
big issue. If it's not safe, you cannot take podcasts anymore.
Yeah, maybe it's the last podcast. But yeah, I think they had some time to develop that airplane, and I think back then I had some doubts. But now I think now my perception changed because the cars they Chinese build and the trains they're all so good.
Right.
But a car can break down, a train can break down, but a plane
But,
should not.
but I think
There's
it should
no.
be okay.
It should be okay, right? Yeah, I'm also very curious. I also definitely want to experience it. Maybe in 10 years.
I've also yeah, and I've also seen their fighter jet.
What?
Fighter jet
Really?
in Kashgar because Kashgar Airport is actually an airport base, Air Force base. So it was very small airport, and the first thing I've seen there was the local dancers. That was a very interesting thing that I've seen there, and suddenly I could hear a very loud noise and
Like a
kind of a
like a like a boom or
yeah, like no, it's like they were starting an engine, and there was a small sandstorms, and I didn't know what's happening there, but suddenly I could hear their jet engine sounds, and suddenly the Air Force, the fighter jet just
wow.
was
Never
launching.
never saw one that close actually.
It feels so different from the commercial jets because commercial jets feels like it goes like this smoothly,
Yeah.
but fighter jets feels like it is like forcing, like it pushes. Like the degree of the head is a bit weird. It's very
Yeah.
low, but it still goes up fast.
Wow.
It has a because it has a very powerful engine. I think so
Yeah.
interesting. Let's visit Xinjiang.
Should
I
be on
wanna
our
come.
bucket list.
It is worthy visiting there
Yeah.
because yeah, when you visit Asia next time, don't need to come to Korea. We can meet in Xinjiang.
Maybe I need my annual portion of Korea. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Asia for me is always kind of not straightforward, family and stuff.
Right.
Always have to pass by somehow on the east of China. But let's see. It should be doable, I think. Yeah. I'm ready for some adventure, let's put it like this. Do you think we can rent a car? Should
Do
be
you have a
difficult.
license?
No.
You need a license, Chinese license,
Yeah,
because
shit.
they are not in that agreement.
Hmm.
So you
Maybe
need a license?
motorcycle.
We can have a 电动车 without license. I have a license, but it expired last year, so I have to check if I can extend it.
Yeah, a road trip would be nice.
Yeah, and if there is a breakdown, there will be an issue.
It's okay. We have Wi-Fi. No, not no Wi-Fi, but
Yeah,
data.
signal, data.
Yeah, just Google. No, not Google, but just check how to fix a tire.
And the VPN sucks anyway. This time I used the Surfshark. It didn't work well.
Yeah, that's really the only thing I don't like about China is for everyone who's outside of China want to access kind of the local websites and services. It's really, really slow because it has to pass through that VPN.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But if you use like a proper one, like Asriel, it will be fine. But it's expensive.
Anyways, that's the topic for this time.
Okay.
We just didn't even announce the topic, but I think it was just natural, exciting also. And yeah, if it wasn't that spontaneous, if you said it, I would be going to Xinjiang in 3 or 4 months, I would probably join. But that was too spontaneous. Yeah. Okay, great topic. Great topic. Then that's it for this week. Let's do another one next week. Or do you travel anywhere else?
Well, I have to take data analysis bootcamp
Yeah.
because
Okay.
I got rejected from all the schools I applied. So that's the only thing I can do. I'm considering to apply for the schools in Korea actually.
PhD for PhD.
I haven't decided yet. Like maybe a 2 years master and then move to other countries. Not
Maybe
sure.
you should push this research topic in Korea. Yes, you will be very popular.
Let's see.
All right, then have a good Sunday. Have a good morning, and I will go back. No, not back. I will go to sleep now.
Summertime, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it will be
It
still
will be
early.
3. It will be 3 in 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you
See
for
you next
watching.
week.
Yeah, see
Thank you
you.
for watching. Thank you for listening. Bye.